Hey Vapors, what is up? Abby here. Today we are looking at some pre-made, pre-built coils from evcigarettes.com. The coils are actually made from UD Technologies. You can purchase them on evcigarettes.com. They have a whole bunch of different kinds of coils, but today we are going to be installing the Clapton coils. It's a 0.6 ohm coil, so we're going to be doing a dual coil coming in at about 0.3, and I'm going to show you guys how to install them. I feel like a lot of my subscribers are kind of in that in-betweener stage where they've had maybe one or two vaping setups. They're ready to move on to building their own coils, or they're interested in making their own coils, doing some RDA builds and things like that. So this is kind of a good, stepping stone to getting into that. The coils are already pre-built for you, so you just have to learn the install part, and then once you get that, you can start building coils and you'll be on your way. Today's build is going to be on the Wotofo Lush RDA. This is one of their brand new RDAs. I've got it here in the matte black. It's a really, really nice RDA. I really have been loving it. I've had it for about a couple weeks now, and I really enjoy it. I really like the deck. It's super easy to build on. The juice well is nice and deep, so we're going to take a look at that as well as we install these coils. Here's what the final product looks like. So if you're interested to see these coils installed on the Lush RDA, stay tuned. Alright guys, so here we are up close. We are going to be installing some pre-made coils today. I got these coils from evcigarettes.com. They come in this little package. They're from UD Technology. It's kind of difficult to read this package on camera just because of how the shine is on this material. But as you can see, it's 26 gauge Canthal and 32 gauge Canthal twisted together to make that Clapton coil, and it is a 2.8 millimeter diameter, and it's coming out to 0.6 ohms. So since each one of these coils is 0.6 ohms, I'm going to be doing a dual coil setup today on the new Wotofo Lush RDA. I already have some nasty coils in there right now, so we're going to be taking those out. So I'll show you how I do that as well. Pretty much ready to go. We've got, what, I think 5 wraps there. Done pretty well. I've never used a Clapton coil, so this is going to be my first time attempting this. I think that these pre-made coils, especially kind of the more fancy ones, are really nice for people that have just started getting into rebuildables, and maybe you're not as confident in your rebuilding skills and you just want to have like a package of these kind of just ready to go. I've also just got a regular, nothing fancy, but just a 0.5 ohm Canthal 24 gauge wrap one as well. So they've got kind of just simple ones, and then they've got more complex, the Clapton coils. So you can kind of experiment and see what you like, and then focus on learning how to build that yourself. Here are all of the tools that we need to get this installed. So we're going to need obviously our RDA, our ohm reader. Even though it tells you that these are 0.6, you want to definitely make sure on your ohm reader or your device if you're confident at how that reads out. And our 2 coils are Allen wrench, because that's our Lush RDA. That is what we need to tighten down the posts. I have a screwdriver here that doesn't exactly fit this, but it's pretty close, just to help me align the coils as we install them. Something to clip your leads. And then for the wicking part, we're going to need cotton, scissors, and some tweezers. We'll also use these tweezers when we are burning the coils and getting them nice and even. All right, so first step, we are just going to unscrew these posts and get these nasty coils out of there. All right, and all I do is just loosen up the posts, and then I just literally just yank these out. We'll just put those over on the side, just pull this one out. And then if you want, if there's a lot of juice in there, you can just go rinse it out quickly with warm water. So we've zoomed in a little bit so you guys can really see what's going on. I've just got all 4 posts kind of backed out so that those holes are nice and open. I'm just going to take one of these little pre-built coils. Both leads are kind of the same length, which these are. Then you could go ahead and trim one of them just to make it easier to get into the post holes, you can do like one and then the other. They are kind of short though, so you want to make sure that you leave enough room to play with here. And we're just going to stick them in, one on one side, one in the other, just like that. And that is the first step to installing your pre-made coils. All right, next step, we're going to take the screwdriver. Now, if you had one that was slightly bigger that matched the 2.8 millimeter, then that would be ideal. I don't, so I'm just using this one, but it works out pretty well. You just want to stick it in there and get it to where it is sitting parallel to the bottom of the deck, and then just kind of push it over to get it into the center, and then make sure it's pretty close to the middle there. And once I get it to about there, that's where I want it. So I also make sure that these leads are coming straight out of the post. They're not on one side or the other. That helps with getting the post down to secure the wire and not like get stuck on the side or anything like that. So once that's good and done, we're gonna just start tightening down these posts. Now you don't need to tighten them down all the way yet because we don't have the second one in there yet, but we're gonna just tighten them down just a little bit like that. Now it's all right if, see that one got away from me a little bit there, so I'm gonna hold it like that. We just wanna cinch it in a little bit just to kind of get it secure so that it's not really going anywhere. So then you're going to take your next pre-built coil here and you're going to stick it in the sides here. Again, you could trim it if you need to get kind of those two different lengths to help you get it in, but usually it's pretty all right. Now when you push this one in, you want to make sure that this lead goes above that coil, and you want to make sure this lead comes out above this coil. Just makes it easier when you trim them. You can push them up, and they're not going to be in your way. They're not going to be touching the coils. They're not going to be hiding from you underneath, and it just makes it easier. So this one we can push up, get our screwdriver in here like that. Again, actually, let's push this one up as well. And now I'm just going to kind of push this to the center. Doesn't have to be perfect right now. Push it to the center. This one I want to make sure is up. This one's a little to the left there, so I want to make sure that it's right under the center. And then I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down a little bit. Not tightening them down all the way just yet. I would say we're tightening them down about 90% of the way. And then I'm just going to kind of fool with this screwdriver a little bit on both sides. Just try to make the coils look as good as I can, and then we'll tighten them down the rest of the way. All right, so that looks pretty decent. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten them down the rest of the way and cut our leads off. Again, you don't want to be grinding down too hard on these posts, but I think with the Clapton coils, they're a little bit bigger so they can take a little bit more force without snapping anything. So we'll go pretty good on that one. All right, not too bad. I want to pull this one away from the center there a little bit. A little bit better there. All right, so now let's go ahead and trim these leads up. Hard to see what's going on with this camera. All right, just like that. You also want to make sure that none of these little leads that you just cut off are going to touch your coil. All right, so here is what the dual coil setup looks like after I've got them nice and installed. Looking pretty good. All right, the next step is just to turn on our ohm meter just to make sure that we're about in the 0.3 range. And there we are, 0.31. So looks great. I do have one little piece in the middle here that I'm a little worried about. All right, I fooled around with them a little bit more just to kind of get things nice, make sure nothing's touching anything, and we're at 0.29 now. All right, the next step here is to mount it onto your battery, and we are going to start pulsing it. I always like to start mine pretty low. We're going to start at 3.5 volts here and just kind of start pulsing. You can see it sort of starting to fire up there. Just going to give her a little squeeze. I don't know if Claptons fire differently than regular, since I've never used Claptons before. Kind of learning this with you guys. There we go. Starting to get pretty good here. Give her one last good squeeze. Lighten up pretty nice here from the inside out. You just want to make sure that they're lighting up nice and evenly, that you don't have any little hot spots where it's lighting up faster than others, and everything looks good. Got one little problem child on the inside of this one. All right, that looks pretty damn good. All right, next step is wicking. All right, while the coil is cooling down from pulsing it, we are going to start getting our cotton prepared here. This is just a Japanese cotton square, and all I'm gonna do here is just start to kind of stretch it out. This is the method that I've been using for the past, I don't know, month or so. It's kind of like a variation of that Swedish roll or whatever it's called. I don't put as much cotton in there as I used to, or that I had a video that I put out where I did it, and I found that a lot of times it just singes right in the middle. So I just kind of pull off the end pieces as I start to get this kind of spread out a little bit more. I just pull off these end pieces because they're kind of just like hard chunks. And then for dual coil, I just split this in half, just like that. And then we're actually not going to use the whole entire thing. And of course, the smaller diameter coil you have, the less cotton you're going to use. But I use about there and then break off the rest. And I like to do it evenly, use the same amount of cotton for each roll so that, you know, your dual coil is pretty similar in wicking. All right, so now that our coil has cooled off from when we burnt it, we're gonna take this cotton and I'm just gonna squeeze one end of it. You don't so much wanna like turn it. You do wanna kind of start turning it, but I found with Japanese cotton, if you just compress it, it's much better and easier to get it through than turning it. So I just kind of compress it as much as I can. I'm gonna stick that one end in here and then kind of pull it through. So you can see it's pretty tight, but it's not like unbelievably tight. All right, just like that, simple and easy. All right, so this one, I'm gonna do the same thing where I kind of twist it, but then after that, I just compress it, kind of moving it back and forth instead of getting it twisted. And we're gonna stick that one. Let's compress it a little bit more. These are tweezers for this one. Pull it through. You can see it's tough to get through, but it's not really moving the coils that much. It's not like doing anything to mess them up. So after we're done with that, we're just gonna trim the ends here. All right, so once we've got the wick done like so. Now we're gonna just tuck the ends in. I just use this little Allen wrench because it's the smallest thing I've got. Smallest like little pick device. And of course we want to make kind of that loop around. So we still do like the petting, the petting and then the swoop around. Side is a little bit longer, but that's all right. We've got the room. This Lush RDA has a nice deep juice well, so you can get a lot of juice in there. Just remember to make sure you've got your little air pocket. Petting it and then flipping it under. I try to keep the wicking step in for you guys because I know that that's like the one step that a lot of people leave out or skip right by, and so it's a lot harder to learn how to do that than you think, I guess. It takes a lot of practice just kind of learning the feel of it. Sorry about that. This is also a lot harder to do on camera than you would think. All right, so that looks pretty good. I just usually kind of put my fingers on the side and kind of like get in any stray cotton pieces. All right, but there she is, those pre-built Clapton coils installed, dual coil 0.29. We've got her cottoned up. We're gonna juice her up. We're gonna bring it back up top, vape on it, and talk about it. My first experience with Clapton coils. All right guys, so I hope you enjoyed that little tutorial on how to install pre-made coils. Like I said before, you can find these on evcigarettes.com. I'll put a link down below. You can find super simple, just 24 gauge wrapped coils. You can find Clapton coils, so go check them out, and they're super just easy and nice, and you don't have to worry about making your own coils. They're good for if you're just being lazy that week and you just want to pop some coils in, get a fresh build, and you're good to go. So here is what the vapor production looks like. I've got it at 61.5 watts, 4.5 volts, and it's coming in at 0.3 ohms. Really awesome vapor production. I've got this Lush RDA completely open on the airflow. I find with normal dual coils, I usually have the airflow halfway cut off on this Lush RDA, but with the Clapton coils, it produces a lot more vapor, so I like to have it fully wide open. Awesome flavor, awesome vapor. I really love this build, and I like that I can just order these and have Clapton coils ready to go, and I don't have to worry about making them myself, popping out the drill and doing all that nonsense. This is my first time trying Clapton coils, and I am pretty impressed. All right guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed that kind of installation demo for you guys. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. So here is what the receiver looks like up close and personal. We've got a bunch of UVI logos on the top that look like little alien faces, I think, but we've